Howdy, this is Mr. Lopez. Today we're going to be sharing, discussing, and talking about a really great poem by Shel Silverstein called It's All the Same to the Clam. Now, a couple of features about this video, which you're going to find a little different, is that we're going to be using Edpuzzle. So Edpuzzle, of course, is the website that you logged on, you created your account. So every few minutes, you'll be asked a question, type in a couple of thoughts, or just select a multiple choice response. Again, feel free to pause, take notes in the video, and enjoy. All right, so we have here a poem that is there seems to be some sort of a division, if you noticed, 2 and 3 divisions of this poem. And so in terms of the number of lines, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm probably guessing the last stanza is about the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 times 3 is the number of lines total that this poem has. So here we go. It's All the Same to the Clam by Shel Silverstein. You may leave the clam on the ocean's floor. It's all the same to the clam. For 100,000 years or more, it's all the same to the clam. You may bury him deep in mud and muck, or carry him round to bring you luck, or use him for a hockey puck. It's all the same to the clam. You may call him Jim, or Frank, or Nell. It's all the same to the clam. Or make an ashtray from his shell. It's all the same to the clam. You may take him riding on the train, or leaving sitting in the rain. You'll never hear the clam complain. It's all the same to the clam. Yes, the world may stop or the world may spin. It's all the same to the clam. And the sky may come a-falling in. It's all the same to the clam. And man may sing his endless songs of wronging rights and righting wrongs. The clam just sets and gets along. It's all the same to the clam. I like Shel Silverstein. He has some really interesting poems, and he has a lot of good rhythm and rhyme and meter, and you can kind of hear it, right? So let's kind of take this poem apart and see what's doing with the poem. So these poems were written actually in the 1960s and 1970s. So a lot of the language that's being used is a little bit dated, outdated, if you will. So the first line I wanted to point out is this one here, line 2. It's all the same to the clam, which by the way is also the title of the poem. And it's also the line that is repeated the most in the poem, if you noticed, right? So it's all the same to the clam means it doesn't matter. The clam doesn't care. It's the same if you do this thing or do that thing, it doesn't matter to the clam. The clam's just kind of hanging out. And so Shel Silverstein also was an artist, and he would also draw pictures sometimes for the poem. So that's Shel Silverstein's little creepy drawing on the bottom of that page there. So another thing I wanted to point out is that you, the word you, is second person, right? When you have writing, you use the word I, that's the first person. You is second person, and then when you say he, she, they, them, that's the third person in terms of the point of view of the poem. All right, so let's count. So you got it's all the same, it's all the same, it's all the same. You got it 3 times in the first stanza. 1, 2, 3 again, and 1, 2, 3 again. So in each stanza, you have 3 lines repeated, or 1 line repeated 3 times. So that's 9 times total in the entirety of the poem, where the title and this key line, it's all the same to the clam, are repeated. And so as you continue to read the poem, another couple of interesting little features in it, right? Where you have the rhyme scheme happening, and the rhyme scheme is something we've been talking about. Rhyme scheme is the pattern in which a poem rhymes in. So let's just go ahead and take a look. You got the word floor, more. That's a rhyme. You got, I mean, technically clam and clam and clam rhyme, but that's kind of lazy. So, you know, if you want to count it or not. But then you got muck and luck, right? So in this stanza, you got two rhyming lines that kind of match. And then in stanza 2, you got Nell, shell, you got train and complain, right? All right, and then in the last stanza here, it says, yes, the world may never stop or the world may spin, the sky may come a falling in, and then you got 3 lines here in a row that rhyme together. And one of the ideas that you can kind of think about is as Shel Silverstein was finishing his poem, he wanted to make sure that you were kind of paying attention and make sure that you noticed that it was kind of wrapping up, right? So this is probably the reason why he has 3 lines in a row. And this is the first time in the entire poem that he's had 3 lines rhyme right next to each other. So songs, wrongs, and along, right? And then before you're wondering, well, these 2 lines end with an S and this one doesn't. So, you know, it's kind of like not 100% exactly rhymey, but it's close enough to it being very, very rhymey for this poem. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Shel Silverstein, the poet who wrote this poem, It's All the Same to the Clam. So I hope you've been enjoying it. I hope that you read it a couple more times without me explicating and explaining everything. And remember, the whole point of these poems is for you to understand them, you to get something out of them, and for you to ask yourself, what did you think about this poem? What did you like the most about it? So hope you've enjoyed it. See you for the next one.